After my last video on Zords, I have had a ton of requests to make this video, and while it has been a huge challenge to narrow it down to just 10 of the best Megazords, it's also been real fun. Now, this list isn't necessarily in the order of the most powerful, but just a list of simply the best. That could mean maybe the coolest, or it could mean the most efficient, just my general top 10. And I'm sure many of you will disagree with my list, but it is of course a very personal choice, and I would absolutely love to hear your own lists in the comments down below. Finally, just to let you know, I have decided to only pick one Megazord per season, just to make it fair. Okay, let's do it. Number 10, the ASTRO Megazord. This Zord is from Power Rangers in Space. Now, what makes this one different from previous seasons of the show is that the Rangers didn't really have individual Zords that joined together. Instead, the spaceship in which the Rangers used to travel in would combine with the shuttle that they used to get to space to form the ASTRO Megazord. So yeah, a Megazord made of spaceships is pretty awesome if you ask me. The only flaw in my opinion is the lack of colour. But the space shuttle hat that it wears really makes this a must for a top 10 Megazord video. Number 9, Wild Force Megazord. The Zords from Wild Force were of course sentient beings. They could be summoned by any ranger that held their orbs. But what made this Megazord so great was the way that it would keep changing and updating. For example, when they found a Deer Zord, it was added on and its antlers became a claw. Plus the lion head on its chest just looks amazing, and the maned lion head type helmet is also super cool. Number 8, Turbo Megazord. Now, I realise I'm probably going to get some stick for this one. In general, Turbo is a pretty disliked season. It went too far with some of the ridiculous situations the Rangers found themselves in. Becoming a giant pizza? Come on. And the new Blue Ranger was a kid that morphed into an adult but kept a kid's voice. So stupid. But having said that, I'm still a fan of the Megazord today. Despite not being a fan of the individual Zords, I'm not sure if it's nostalgia or not, but the Megazord is still really cool to me. It has turbojets that can propel it at a super fast speed, and it used a giant car tire as a shield. A really cool Megazord from a not very cool season. Number 7, Samurai Megazord. Power Rangers Samurai was the return of Power Rangers to the hands of Haim Saban, and it brought forth an incredibly engaging season of the show. Not only was the actual story of Samurai fun and engaging, but the Zords themselves were great. It's by far one of the most thematically accurate and appropriate Megazords in Power Rangers history, wielding a giant katana in samurai fashion, and visually looking very similar to how you would expect a Zord based on an ancient Japanese warrior would look. It has the wide shoulder pads and the awesome angular helmet that gives it a super distinct look. I'm a big fan of this Megazord. Number 6, Galaxy Megazord. The Megazord from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy isn't necessarily one that would stand out in the minds of fans, but it has a classic look that is almost a nod to the original, and the way it moves is really cool. Not only that, but it has an ape head basically as a belt buckle, what is basically a giant quasar saber, and when it combines with the lights of Orion, a super awesome crown type helmet, and visually awesome V chestplate. I love it. Number 5, Titan Megazord. This is the Zord from the Mystic Force series. It has a unique feature of having individual Zords that are meant to represent different fantasy races. A pixie, a minotaur, a mermaid, and so on. These all look like they could be Megazords in their own right, but when combined, they look incredible. A super impressive wingspan and a great mix of colour gives this one a pretty unique look. Also, being named Titan is also quite clever. Titans were Greek mythological creatures known for being colossal in size and amongst the most powerful beings in existence. So extra points for the name of this one. Number 4, MEZADON Megazord. Being one of the Megazord variations in Dino Thunder, which is definitely one of the stronger seasons of Power Rangers, means that this Megazord has a smaller team, with an original team of 3, then 4, then eventually 5 with the addition of the White Dino Thunder Ranger. However, the MEZADON Megazord is usually only piloted by Connor, the Red Ranger. Now, although this one seems super chunky and clunky in its movement, I remember being blown away when I first seen this Megazord. It just looked so powerful to me, and on top of that, it wields not one, but 2 battle axes. Now that's awesome. Number 3, the Zeo Megazord. The Zeo Megazord is one of the ones that is made up of a bunch of kind of bland Zords, but looks awesome when it comes together. Following the Egyptian type theme of the Zeo season, it certainly represents that style, with a sphinx on its chest, really simplistic colour design, and that Egyptian/steampunk style aesthetic really finishes it off. Then that classic Zeo inscription on the helmet are just the icing on the cake. The Zeo Megazord is one I have very fond memories of when I look back at it. Number 2. Thunderstorm Megazord. This one is from the Ninja Storm series. Now, while its design doesn't really have much to do with the theme of the season, it doesn't take away from how cool it is. It could certainly look a little more ninja-like, but I'm not sure this one could really look any more intimidating if it tried. Now, technically, you could argue that this one is sort of cheating, as it's basically a combination of two other Megazords, the Storm Megazord and the Thunder Megazord. But seeing as the former was controlled by a Ranger team of 3 and the latter by a Ranger team of 2, I think we can count it. It has an insanely powerful finishing attack called the Lion Blaster, which is a massive barrage of energy blasts from the Lion Zord head on its chest and the Crimson Thunder Zord's cannon. I love this one. Now, before revealing number 1, I was going to make a bunch of honourable mentions, but to be honest, this list was so hard to make, I think I would just end up listing every other Zord that didn't make it on the list. But my personal favourite Zord ever, which I guess doesn't really count because it's not a Mega, but it definitely is the Dragon Zord. It always has and always will be my favourite, and I just wanted an excuse to talk about it here, so leave a comment down below if you'd like to see a Dragon Zord video. Number 1. The original Megazord. Come on guys, you knew this was going to be number 1. It was debuted in the pilot episode of Power Rangers and lasted all the way through to Season 2. Again, I don't know if it's just nostalgia, but when someone mentions a Megazord, this is what I picture. I can remember being a kid and literally being able to feel the power of its movement through my TV. It just looks incredible. Its design is not overly complex, not overly bulky like some of the others, just really spot on in my opinion. Even when I seen it appear in the Boom Studios comics, I still get excited. Anyway, that was my list of my top 10 favourite Megazords ever. I know many of you will disagree with this, but that's fine. It's a personal choice. Just let me know your lists in the comments down below. I absolutely love reading your opinions. It's a fun thing to discuss. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch. Please feel free to check out the official 6th Ranger merchandise. I'll leave a link down in the description. I hope you all have a great day. May the power protect you, and I will see you next time on the 6th Ranger.